Most people walk through life thinking their biggest breakthroughs come from luck, timing, or a sudden burst of motivation. But the truth is quieter. Your life pivots on a single choice, the decision to take responsibility for the direction of your life. Not partial responsibility, full responsibility. That moment marks the line between the life you've settled for and the life you're capable of building. This video isn't about vague inspiration. It's about understanding the one decision that rewires your future and the ripple effect it creates in your work, relationships, discipline, confidence, and identity. Today, we're breaking down what this decision actually means, not as a slogan, but as a practical turning point. Because no one transforms by accident. A person changes the moment they stop waiting for someone else to fix their circumstances and choose to own their next move. People who rise from the darkest places didn't do it because they were special. They made this decision at a moment when it mattered most. They said, if my life is going to change, it starts with me. That mindset doesn't just push you forward. It breaks every excuse holding you back. In this video, you'll walk through 6 scenes that show how this decision shapes your confidence, discipline, habits, resilience, relationships, and long-term purpose. Each scene takes you deeper into the psychology of change, with clear lessons you can implement instantly. You're not here to listen. You're here to shift something inside you. You're here because a part of you knows you're capable of more, and you're tired of feeling stuck between who you are and who you could be. This video will push you out of that middle space. Before we move into the next scene, pause for a moment. Think about the version of you that you've been carrying around, the tired one, the frustrated one, the one pretending everything is fine. Now imagine a version of you who takes total control of their story. No more waiting, no more blaming, no more negotiating with your potential. That shift begins here. The most impactful decision you'll ever make is the commitment to change yourself first. The rest of this video shows you exactly how that decision transforms everything that follows. The moment you take ownership of your life, things shift fast, not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you stop fighting reality. You stop pointing fingers. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. Responsibility isn't about blaming yourself for everything that went wrong. It's about recognizing that your next chapter depends on your actions, not your circumstances. The people who rise are the ones who accept that their effort, discipline, and mindset carry more weight than luck or timing. When you own your life, you stop being a passenger and start driving the direction of your future. Most people stay stuck because they secretly love their excuses. Excuses protect the ego. They shield you from discomfort. They keep you from confronting the truth about what you could be doing, but aren't. When you take ownership, those excuses lose their power. You stop saying, I can't, and start asking, how can I? That shift in language alone rewires your brain. It forces you to think differently, act differently, and show up differently. You start exploring solutions instead of repeating your limitations. Ownership turns obstacles into problems you're capable of solving instead of threats that define you.
This decision also changes how you interpret failure. When you don't own your life, failure feels personal. It feels like an attack on your identity. But once you step into ownership, failure becomes data, information, feedback. You stop seeing mistakes as proof you aren't good enough and start seeing them as steps you needed to take to understand the path better. Every person who has achieved anything meaningful has a trail of failures behind them, but they also have one thing in common. They kept taking responsibility for the next move. That's what keeps you in the game. You can't rewrite your past, but ownership allows you to rewrite the meaning you take from it. Maybe you weren't given the best environment. Maybe you didn't have supportive people around you. Maybe you made choices you regret. Ownership doesn't deny any of that. It simply refuses to let it control your future. Once you accept that your growth is your responsibility, you stop waiting for rescue. You start becoming the person who saves yourself. That's the moment your life begins to pivot. The world doesn't change first, you do. Scene by scene, you're about to see how far that shift takes you.
Every lasting transformation begins with identity. People chase motivation, habits, and routines, but nothing sticks if you're still tied to an old version of yourself. Identity is the story you tell yourself when no one's around. It's the quiet script running in the background, shaping what you think you deserve, what risks you take, and what limits you accept. When you decide to change your life, you're not actually changing your actions first. You're changing the person who's performing them. If you see yourself as someone who always quits, you will. If you see yourself as someone capable and disciplined, you'll behave accordingly. Identity is built through repetition, not in the big, dramatic moments, but in the small decisions you make every day. The moment you push through resistance when you don't feel like it. The moment you choose growth instead of comfort. The moment you show up even when no one is watching. Every action casts a vote for the type of person you're becoming. People fail because they try to change their life in one giant move. Identity doesn't work like that. It shifts gradually, decision by decision, until one day you look in the mirror and realize you don't recognize the old version of you. But here's the catch. Your mind is loyal to your past identity. It will pull you back toward old habits because familiarity feels safe. That's why change feels uncomfortable. Your brain is trying to protect you from uncertainty. The moment you attempt something new, you'll hear the voice of your old self whispering doubts. You're not ready. You always mess up. This isn't you. If you listen, you go back to the same patterns. If you challenge it, you outgrow who you were. The discomfort you feel isn't a sign of failure. It's proof that you're stepping into a new identity. Rebuilding your identity is a decision to stop letting your past define your potential. You're not the mistakes you made. You're not the environment you grew up in. You're not the opinions others had about you. Identity becomes powerful when you decide who you want to be and then act in alignment with that version every day. The more you show up for your future self, the louder that identity becomes. Eventually, it drowns out the voice of who you used to be. This is where real change starts taking root. Deep, personal, and unstoppable. Once your identity begins to shift, discipline becomes the engine that keeps everything moving. People often misunderstand discipline. They see it as harsh, rigid, or exhausting. In reality, discipline is freedom. It frees you from reacting to your emotions. It frees you from procrastination. It frees you from the chaos of living without structure. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. You don't need to feel inspired every day. You just need to show up. The small, unglamorous actions you repeat when no one notices are the foundation of every strong, resilient person you admire. Here's the truth most people avoid. Discipline is uncomfortable at first. Your brain is wired to choose the easiest path, the safest option, the quickest reward. Discipline goes against that instinct, which is why it feels so hard. But discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's evidence you're building a new internal structure. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you strengthen that structure. You're teaching your mind that you are in control, not your impulses. The hard version of you that emerges from these choices becomes someone almost impossible to shake. Discipline compounds. Miss one day, nothing changes. Miss 10 days, you start sliding back. But stay consistent for 30, 60, 90 days, you become a different person. Momentum builds slowly, then aggressively. Your habits begin to run automatically. What felt hard becomes normal. What felt impossible becomes routine. The version of you who used to rely on motivation now operates on commitment. That's the power of disciplined action. It multiplies your results without increasing your effort. It makes your growth inevitable because you build a system that keeps you moving even when your emotions fluctuate. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who work the hardest on random days. They're the ones who work steadily on ordinary days. Discipline is the quiet force behind every breakthrough. It doesn't shout. It doesn't brag. It just builds you layer by layer until the old version of you can't keep up anymore. If you can stay disciplined long enough, the results will make the struggle worth it. This isn't about being strict with yourself. It's about being loyal to your potential. Discipline protects your future from your weaker impulses, and that loyalty transforms everything. Life doesn't reward the smartest or the strongest. It rewards the ones who keep getting back up. Resilience is a skill that separates those who rise from those who collapse under pressure. The moment you commit to changing your life, you will face resistance, unexpected setbacks, people who doubt you, internal battles you didn't see coming. But resilience isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about refusing to stay down. It's the decision to stand back up every time life knocks you over, even when you're tired, discouraged, or unsure. That decision strengthens you in ways comfort never will. Most people underestimate how powerful setbacks can be. They think failure destroys them, but failure actually reveals them. It exposes your weak spots and forces you to grow stronger. It shows you where your mindset collapses and where your habits fall apart. The difference between those who stop and those who succeed is simple. Successful people treat setbacks as training. They study the hit. They analyze the mistake. They adjust their approach. They don't make the same failure a second time. Resilience turns pain into information. It transforms adversity into skill. Resilience also changes your relationship with fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty. It thrives in the moments you don't feel prepared. But once you've been knocked down a few times and stood back up, fear loses its influence. You realize you can survive more than you thought. You realize you're stronger than you assumed. Fear becomes a reminder that something important is on the other side. Instead of shrinking, you move forward anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to continue despite it. Resilient people learn to walk through fear instead of running from it. Resilience is a turning point where your story becomes unshakable. Every setback you survive becomes evidence that you can handle more. Every obstacle you overcome becomes a reminder that you are becoming someone harder to break. You stop living in fear of failure because you've proven to yourself that failure doesn't end you. It builds you. When you add resilience to identity, discipline, and ownership, you become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you do. This is a transformation point where your character becomes stronger than your circumstances. Every meaningful change you make in life circles back to one moment. The decision to take full responsibility for who you're becoming. Everything you've heard so far, identity, discipline, resilience, starts with that single commitment. People wait for the perfect plan. They wait for confidence. They wait for motivation. But the truth is blunt. Those things show up only after you choose. That's why this decision is the most impactful one you'll ever make. It forces you to stop drifting and start directing. It gives your life a direction instead of leaving it up to circumstances or chance. Your future is built from the quiet choices you make when no one is watching. You either choose habits that pull you forward or choices that drag you backward. You choose what you tolerate. You choose what you chase. You choose what you walk away from. Every choice nudges your life toward a specific outcome, even if it seems small. That's why this decision matters so much. It puts you in control of the trajectory. Once you accept that your life is shaped by your decisions, not your upbringing, not your luck, you gain the power to change course at any time. The more responsibility you take, the more clarity you gain. Suddenly, your goals stop feeling vague. You know what you want. You know what you need to do next. You stop comparing yourself to others because your path becomes personal. You stop rushing because you understand growth takes time. You stop complaining because complaining steals the focus you need to move forward. Responsibility clears the noise. It strips away the distractions and leaves you face to face with your potential. That clarity becomes your compass, guiding you through challenges without losing direction. This is where your future branches into two versions. One path belongs to the person who never makes his decision, someone who keeps waiting, blaming, doubting, postponing. The other path belongs to the version of you who steps forward and claims responsibility. That version builds momentum. That version grows stronger. That version becomes the one you're meant to be. Your future doesn't change in a dramatic moment. It changes in the moment you choose to take control. And once you make that choice, everything else follows. This is the moment that shapes the rest of your life. Don't let it pass.